The video you are about to see, I just wanted to be upfront to say that I actually shot it some time ago. It took me a lot of time to work up the courage to shoot it, and then even more time to work up the courage to actually go live with it. But I think what actually finally made me do it, and I think this is really needed now more than ever in light of what's happening in the world with so much hate and so much bigotry, is to step outside of ourselves and realize what's more important, to serve the greater good. And what helped me post this video, or at least work up the courage to do so, is that it's not about me, it's not about my own fears, insecurities, doubts, whatever it may be. It's about the people that I think this can help. You know, I know a lot of veterans, a lot of teenagers, a lot of people from really any walk of life, all walks of life, struggling with addiction in some form. I mean, even someone like Michael Phelps, who I've been reading a lot about, now he just qualified for Rio, he's won more Olympic golds than anybody ever, and yet he had his struggles with addiction. And in one of the articles I read, he talked about how vulnerability is courage, and that really kind of inspired me to step outside of myself, be real about this, log this journey together, and more importantly than anything, if this can serve you or someone you know, that's really what's important. So, like I said, I know a lot of people personally struggling, I've lost friends to addiction, so, you know, as scary as it might be, because this is the hardest and scariest thing I've ever shared publicly, I wanted to put it out there because ultimately that's what Fearvana is all about, embracing your fears and finding the bliss on the other side of them. So, here goes nothing. This was the result of the very last time I ever touched alcohol. That was, all of this was over a period of 4 days. And I know, that is a lot of booze. And don't judge me for those Smirnoff Ices. I know what some of you might be thinking, but they weren't for me, they were somebody else, and clearly I had a problem, and I drank it anyway. My name is Akshay Nanavati, and welcome to the Fearvana channel. Now, it was absolutely terrifying sharing that with you. This is clearly something I'm not very proud of, and it was just weakness, and I don't like admitting that to the world. In fact, it's been about probably 10 days since I finally went sober, and I wanted to start this channel really earlier, start this log to help really document that journey to sobriety, but one, I didn't come up with this idea till only recently. I was inspired by Tim Ferriss's podcast interview with Shay Carl. He's this awesome guy who just started shooting videos every single day, and he's amassed like over 1 billion YouTube views now. And he shares in the podcast interview his own struggles with alcohol. So does Tim Ferriss, and most of you probably heard of Tim Ferriss. He's extremely famous, author of 4-Hour Workweek. And that whole podcast interview inspired me to get to this. But it took me a few days just to work up the courage to actually shoot this whole thing. And it's totally unscripted. We're just going to log this journey to sobriety. I struggled with alcohol for a little while. I mean, for a long time ago, I got to the point where I was drinking regularly, and I literally was at the brink of suicide. I mean, I thought this is never going to end. I'm just going to end my life. And that was really hard, as you can imagine. I mean, I was kind of making some jokes about the Smirnoff Ice, but I get that this is a serious issue. I've lost multiple friends and family to alcohol addiction and drug addiction. I myself struggled with drug addiction in high school, lost a couple of friends back then to that as well. I know millions of Americans are struggling with this. Millions of Americans are suffering in silence with this. And that's why I wanted to share this, as hard as it is for me, and believe me, it is. In fact, I'm shooting this right now like midnight because my wife is asleep and I didn't want her to see all those bottles, even though she's going to see this video, so I get it's kind of really silly. But I was still too scared to have her see it and just, see it right there. I just didn't like that. In fact, the very last time I had all of that booze you just saw, I literally sat there crying to my wife saying, "What is wrong with me?" And I had actually worked out a way to be, do this mediocre. Moderate. I used to moderate this. I used to not drink every day. I was drinking, once in a while, but when I did drink, often it would lead to these excessive binges, and that wasn't good. I mean, I was successful business, running 60, 70 miles a week, training hard. I was training with Jim Jones. This is their awesome logo, their killer gym that trained the actors from 300. I was fairly fit, but I was like this functioning alcoholic, as they call it. And I thought, I had it in moderation. Like I said, I wasn't drinking every day. Once in a while I would drink, and I kept saying, okay, it's okay to drink like this when I'm doing it with friends. But it finally hit me that this is not who I want to be. And the key for any of you listening, any of you struggling with this, any of you watching this, is that once you remove that inner conflict and justifying that I want to drink it sometimes, and you remove that, I literally have not had an issue. And it's only been 10 days, but I am 100% certain I'm not even going to be tempted. It's not even going to take willpower to resist anymore because I just removed the inner conflict about wanting to drink it sometimes. And in this video log, over the next 20, 30 days, we're going to share what it's like. I want you to help, get on this journey with me. If you at all feel like you're struggling with it, even if you don't think it's that big an issue yet, but maybe it's somewhat, comment below. Let me know what you're struggling with. Reach out to me, contact, because I know so many people struggling. So many of my veteran buddies. When I got back from Iraq, again, this is not an Iraq issue. I don't blame the war or anything like that. Like I said, I struggled with drug addiction in high school, way before I even got to the Marines. So I just have this addictive personality, and moderation does not work well for me. I just decided to embrace that addictive personality to running and to training and to my business. And really, when I remove this block, I'm going to grow financially, spiritually, emotionally, physically, just every way. I just couldn't feel freer. So let's do this thing together. I'm going to log this journey. I'm super nervous to sharing this with you, but I'm excited now to be on this journey with you. Let's do this thing together. And if you're at all struggling with this, or if you want to see the kind of challenges we're going to take on after this one, subscribe to the Fearvana channel. I'm going to share with you a lot more about my own journey, about what strategies I'm using to overcome alcohol addiction, and taking it from there to the one thing after the next. We're just going to work on some cool challenges to up-level our lives in every way. Before we go, I thought you could join me on this ceremonious ritual of throwing all of these away and getting it out of my house, out of my life. And we are never going to have this problem again. It's kind of exciting to get the last bottle of alcohol out of my life. I had these few binge sessions where you could see results like this. It is nice to be done. Thanks for joining me. And tomorrow, I'm going to be logging this every day, by the way, for the next few days, the journey to sobriety. So if you are struggling, like I said, join me. We're going to work on this together. And tomorrow, I'm going to share some more strategies about what's working for me. I don't know everything about what's right or what's wrong, but these are the strategies that's helping me stay sober for 10 days straight, and can say with literally 100% certainty that I'll never touch it again. Thanks for joining.